Hello everyone, welcome to Steno Aspirants. Get ready for the legal dictation containing 720 words at the speed of 90 words per minute. 3, 2, 1, start. In the counter affidavit filed by the CCI, it was explained that there was an overwhelming response received from the candidates for selection to the aforesaid post, and having regard to the large number of applications received, the CCI decided to undertake the selection to all posts notified in the advertisement on the basis of written test followed by interview, and accordingly it was determined that written test would be for 80 marks while 20 marks were attributed to interview. Further, candidates who secured minimum of 50 marks in the written test in the general category and minimum of 40 marks in the reserved category were called for interview in the ratio of 3 times of the number of vacancies, where the number of vacancies were more than 10 and 5 times of the number of the vacancies for less than the 10. The marks obtained in the written test were not disclosed to the interview committee, and the committee independently and without being influenced by the marks obtained in the written test adjudged the candidates on the basis of viva voce test and awarded the marks. The marks of the written test, which were kept in the sealed cover, were opened after the marks given to candidates in the interview by the interview board, and tabulated merit list was prepared accordingly. The CCI, keeping in view the nature and purpose of the post, decided to fix the percentage for final selection were 70 marks out of 100 for unreserved category and minimum 65 marks out of 100 for reserved category for professional categories, in which category the post of deputy director within bracket law falls. It was argued that such a course of action was permissible, and it was not a case where the mode of selection at any time was changed, and insofar as fixation of benchmark is concerned, that was prerogative of the employer. The learned single judge of the High Court accepted the plea of the respondents, as he did not perceive this to be the change in criteria in the selection procedure, holding that fixation of the benchmark was legal and justified. In the aforesaid backdrop, the question that falls for consideration is as to whether fixation of benchmark would amount to change in the criteria of selection in the midstream when there was no such stipulation. The learned senior counsel, appearing for one of the appellants, submitted that the case is squarely covered by the ratio of judgment of this court in Himani Malhotra versus High Court of Delhi. That case pertained to recruitment to the higher judicial service in Delhi. The mode of selection was written test and viva was 250 marks were assigned for written test and 750 marks prescribed for viva voce test. When the advertisement was given, there was no stipulation prescribing minimum marks slash cutoff marks at viva voce test. After the written test was held, the persons who qualified the written test were called for interview. Interview was, however, postponed by the interview committee and it felt that it was desirable to prescribe minimum marks for the viva voce test as well. The matter was placed before the full court and full court resolved to fix minimum qualifying marks in viva voce which were 55% for general category, 50% for SC/ST candidates. After this change was effected in the criteria, thereby prescribing fixation of minimum qualifying marks, the interviews were held. The petitioners in that case were not selected as they secured less than 55 marks. Those two petitioners filed the writ petition submitting that prescribing minimum cutoff marks in the viva voce test after the selection process had started when there was no such stipulation at the time of initiation of recruitment process was unwarranted and impermissible. The court, taking notice of its earlier judgments in Leeladhar versus State of Rajasthan, held that when the previous procedure prescribing minimum marks was not permissible at all after the written test was conducted. The ratio of the case is summed up in paragraph 15 of the judgment as there is no manner of doubt that the authority making rules regulating the selection can prescribe by rules the minimum marks both for written examination and viva voce. Stop. Get ready for the general matters. 3, 2, 1, start. Madam, I would like to say a few words. It was not my intention to speak on this bill at all, but having listened to the speech of the Honorable Minister towards the end of his reply, I am rather provoked, shall I frankly, to say a word or two about the policy of the government in the matter. It is pointless for the government and the minister here to tell us that there has not been any shift in the policy with regard to foreign participation and the role of foreign enterprise in the oil industry of our country. Now, we do not have the time nor the opportunity just at the time to recall the various utterances and statements given solemnly on the floor of this house and in the other house by the then Honorable Minister Mr. Malviya and others of the government, also enunciating certain basic approaches to questions of policy. What was it? In the first place, it was decided after a lot of groping in the dark in the earlier stages that, as far as the oil industry was concerned, it should be from now on developed entirely in the public sector, and a beginning was made by exploration and the setting up of refineries with the cooperation of friendly countries like Romania. That is how we began. You will remember, Madam Vice Chairman, as other members in this House will remember, that when the Burma Cell and the Standard Vacuum Oil Company demanded full expansion of their installed capacity, the demand was first sought to be entertained by certain elements in the government, but ultimately the government did not sanction even the expansion of the installed capacity by those concerns. The argument at that time, and a right argument at that, was that we should be given the opportunity, and we should take the opportunity now of developing our own public sector and making the public sector much more pronounced than it would be in a matter of 2 or 3 years by stopping the expansion in the private sector as well. Therefore, we had a double policy at that time. I am not a spokesman of the government, but I do know the policy of the government because these are public policies. What was that policy? It was, on the one hand, to create a public sector in the oil industry. You will remember, Madam, and the House will remember, that when we negotiated for certain oil to be imported from the Soviet Union, these foreign concerns, American and British, had the temerity to say that they would not be refining crude oil if it was imported from socialist countries and not from their own resources. After a lot of hesitation in the matter, the government ultimately and rightly so compelled these people to accept the crude oil imported from other sources than their own. This was the position. Now, these are not forgotten stories, and I may recall in this connection that the journal called Commerce wrote a series of editorial articles in which the Honorable Minister of Oil at that time was criticized precisely for pursuing an exclusive policy of public sector development in the matter of oil, and these criticisms were repeated also in certain other foreign journals, including the journals that emanate from the United States of America. It is also well known that at that time Mr. B. K. Nehru was approached by certain elements in the USA, and following that a New York paper wrote a certain article saying that Mr. B. K. Nehru's visit to India would be helpful in getting the oil policy of Mr. Malviya reversed in the direction in which the Americans would like. The article appeared, and I quoted this article on the floor of the House. If you would read also other economic journals, you would find that a great debate continued for months and months with regard to what should be the oil policy of the government, and in that debate up to the time I am referring to, the government clearly asserted that oil should be developed exclusively in the public sector in all its stages, especially in refining and exploration. We took certain steps. That is how such developments have taken place. Stop over.